songwriter that's trying to figure out your own musical micro niche? If you're having trouble deciding on what genre to choose from, you are not alone. My passion for music started at a very young age. I found myself caught between two demographics when it came to music, as I was caught between two different generations. And if you were like me and you grew up with both digital and traditional styles, it can be a pretty tough decision when it comes to choosing a micro niche. As I progressed in taking interest in writing my own songs, I was not yet set in stone when it came to my own micro niche, not even in my teens or early 20s. I knew I loved electronic music, as well as traditional instruments, and even old music. So I progressed towards electronica with traditional instruments in the mix. But as I looked more into the different styles of electronic music, I was baffled to see how many different microgenres there were under the catch-call of EDM. Let's take house for example. And that doesn't even cover the surface. The same can be said about trance, techno, ambient, and other electronic music styles. This made the decision even tougher to make. So I tried out different styles to see what would work for me, and the results were all great. Check them out. In light of this, I knew I could be successful in every one of them. But I also discovered the importance of choosing a microgenre that will truly make you stand out in the midst of other artists. So I needed to narrow it down just a little bit more, or maybe add something into those songs that make them similar. But I had to do something. I had to do some brainstorming. So why is choosing a micro niche so important? For one, trying to appeal to all tastes is a recipe for disaster in the music industry, and that is not an understatement. Yet in this modern era where you see so many different genres colliding together and being mixed together, and combined ideas make so many more different genres to choose from, and it can be a tough decision. But you gotta find one and stick with it, because with a micro niche, there is also opportunity, guys. So how can you find which one is right for you? Put a spin on your existing music genre. Let's say you do electronic music very well. It doesn't take long to realize that there are already EDM producers out there. If you were going to create your own personal brand style, then that would be the way to go to thrive. After looking into many subgenres there were of EDM, I knew I didn't have to completely copy what had already been done. I could actually create my own style. So think about what has influenced your sound. Could it be culture, landscape, fashion, a time setting? Can you add sounds within your music that aren't already associated with EDM? When I observed the subgenres of EDM such as house, the differences were very subtle. It may be cultural differences, lyrics, singing style, or such like. Just look for small differences that will help set you apart. Ask your fans for music niche ideas. If you already have a following, ask your followers about what they think sets you apart from the rest. And on a side note, if you are thinking about changing altogether from the original idea, you may find yourself starting over from square one when it comes to building an audience. So I would recommend you build off of the ideas that you already demonstrated. You can still do the genre you want and put your own twist on it. There will always be those who will give you beneficial pointers that will help give you some amazing ideas. For example, some people may be attracted to that 80s style remix you did for fun and threw it out there. So maybe it would be a good idea to write more songs like that. Your fans already dig your music. All you need to do is produce more of what they like and amplify those different aspects. After doing a few songs, I thought that I might sound like Progressive Wonders, or even some of the 80s style artists, due to the 80s vibe in some of my songs. But now to think of it, I may sound more like Sleep Thief or Bluestone, which are more ambient, ethnic, fusion electronic groups. And if that is the demographic that my music mostly fits into, then it would be wise to stop going after the Progressive Wonders fans or 80s music lovers audiences. And why turn down a small micro niche if you're going to have less competition anyway? What you need to think about is this. Ask someone about what your music sounds like before putting it into a genre. Not necessarily about the quality of it, but what genre that it sounds like, or what it identifies with, what bands that it mostly sounds like, and what audience you can gear it towards. And in my case, it was towards electronic music lovers who love upbeat stuff, but also love ethnic fusion and ambient style sounds. Pure Moods would be the perfect example of that. You need to understand what your music is trying to convey before actually selling it. What values is it going to reflect? What is it going to sound like? This is a step to identify your audience as well. By defining your music, standing out is only a part of it. That's what everyone else is trying to do in this industry. But review your music again. Listen to it carefully. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Think about what genre your music most fits into. To find out more about this, check out different music blogs, magazines, and sites geared towards new music artists. Mostly, identify with music artists that are similar to you. Not only can you identify with them, but you can also introduce yourself to their fan bases as well. And also, when you distribute your music on websites such as CD Baby, you'll be asked what bands that you are similar to, so that you can get your music in front of the right audience, which is pretty cool. While analyzing similar artists to you, you may ask yourself, do I want to be a part of the mainstream press, or do I want to go independent? These two require very different tactics. It requires a lot of money to get into that mainstream press, and oftentimes requires signing a record label, which in a sense will provide publicity for you, but not without a price. So unless you have a backup system that allows you to make lots of this, it will probably be best for you to spread your message in other ways, and in this you will have to be strategic. Of course, every artist's dream is to have their music published billboards, newspapers, magazines, television, mainstream radio. But if for some reason you don't see that working out for you, I have good news for you. There are other options. And if you are an independent artist like me, you might want to check out how you can get your music discovered by using blogs, Pandora Radio, podcasts, live streaming, Facebook ads, and other forms of social media. This is far from doing it the mainstream way and would probably fit in with the majority of upcoming music artists today that do not have a backup system. But no matter how you get your music out there, there are always potential superfans waiting on the other side to hear your message and your music. But you have to know where they are, where to find them, and how to. For more information on this, check out the link below and find out how you can market your micro niche to the right audience. let's say you've chosen your own micro niche already, and it is something that is more rare, such as chillwave house. You've chosen a niche, and your niche may not have the largest audience if it's narrowed down, but there are some benefits for having a small micro niche. Even though there may be a handful of people around the world that can identify with it, that can connect with it, there are also two benefits that we need to keep in mind. For a small micro genre, you can generate an income with a smaller micro niche more easily than a larger one. Here's why. You will have less competition in a smaller micro niche, and people with a minority interest are more likely to be more dedicated and jump on an opportunity to indulge. So even if your target audience is smaller than, say, a genre that is more widely known, such as trance for example, it may be more financially beneficial to you in the long run too. And within a micro niche, you will be able to attract a far more passionate and dedicated fan base than your average music producer or singer. You may be able to attract fans of other genres as well that are similar to yours. It takes a person with a real passion for music to create something for public release. But a passion without a real direction will get you nowhere. And I mean nowhere. Doesn't matter how talented you are or how powerful your musical pieces are. Without the right audience, your music will not sell. It doesn't matter how much money that you fork out for banners and advertisements online. If you don't focus on a particular niche audience while attempting to please all musical tastes, you are setting yourself up for failure and a zero result. Take the example of other artists who connect with their specific interest groups. It doesn't matter how large or small these fan groups are. This is where the success is, guys. This may be a hard thing to do because the music industry is a very difficult place to make it the way it is. And this is really what makes it difficult for amateur, should I say new artists? They have to share the same space as those professional artists and those experienced artists out there. So, the best advice that I can give to a new artist is put your best foot forward at all times. This may be a very challenging thing to do for beginner artists to stand out among the rest, but it can be done with strategy. And this is why guidance is needed to find the right audience. Once you decided what your micro niche is going to be, which one of the things I decided was electronica with some pure mood aspects in it, it was time to start connecting with the Sleep Thief and Bluestone audience. The internet works wonders. There are a number of ways to do this. It's the push-pull concept. You can push the world music, ethnic, fusion, electronic music style in two different ways. And this applies to pretty much any style that you can come up with. Number one, the push. When using things like Facebook ads, you can actually target a certain demographic. This includes age, sex, religion, and so forth. You can display ads to audiences of certain bands that you are similar to. You can also find forums that relate to your microgenre and showcase your work to potential fans. You can introduce yourself to the Electronica Music Fan Club. 2. The pull. This is about blogging and SEO. I have a blog on my site and I can optimize it to appear in Google and Bing searches for Sleep Thief and Bluestone. If I regularly blog about these different artists that are similar to me, creating rich key wording and content about these particular groups, I can get their audience to actually find my site and attract potential fans. And with these types of algorithms, they start coming to you. There are journalists, bloggers, DJs, and critics who may love your style of music and specialize in advocating for that particular micro niche. And if you have narrowed it down to a small micro genre, you will find that will give you more opportunity to get coverage, airplay to a small yet more dedicated audience. This will be beneficial in the long run when it comes to hiring radio pluggers and PR agencies. If you find a plugger for your particular micro niche, they may know more about how to present your particular genre in front of the right audience because they know what your audience listens to the most. They know what your audience reads. They know what attracts them. This will help open up more doors for opportunities to help get your music publicized for those papers and shows. Once you discover your micro niche audience online, it is important to start talking to them. The best way to do it is to present before them the music that they love, which is what you're trying to do. Also, if you are an EDM producer with a new age or world music vibe, like me, do you look or act like one? It doesn't matter what genre that you represent, but you should look at other artists who are representing that genre as well. Do you dance like someone who is in your genre? There are specific expectations within a certain genre by a certain audience, and you gotta know what that is. If you're not familiar with yours, then do some research. See what expectations are in that particular genre and stick with it. I'm not saying that you have to completely conform to another person's ideas or personality. Of course, we need to be individuals, but be similar in a certain level with others who represent that genre, or you may not be recognized within that genre by the audience who want that particular vibe. In a nutshell, this is the strategy that record label businesses have been using for ages, and it does help to know your audience and who you are marketing your music to, because if you aren't marketing to a particular audience, you're not marketing to anyone. Be strategic. Learn how to use social media platforms to connect with your audience in a very targeted manner. And once you find your niche audience, they may be glad that you found them too. Best of luck to all artists out there. Be sure to subscribe for more great music and great music stuff right here on the channel. Thanks for watching.